Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. My name is Suleiman. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and of course, governance. The APC National Convention has finally been conducted. Abdullah Adamu, former governor of Nasarawa State and senator representing Western Senatorial District of the state, won against all permutations. Well, was it against all permutations? It has been in the news for a long time, first exclusively reported by Daily Trust that Abdullah Adamu was endorsed by the president. On Saturday last week, this happened. He won the election unanimously when all the delegates, sort of ratified his endorsement. Nigerians witnessed the ruling party elect its leadership to form the new National Working Committee of the party. However, many are of the opinion that the convention was more of a selection than an election. The party had reportedly abided by the recommendations of President Muhammadu Buhari to use the consensus method and a unity list to form the new National Working Committee. Many members accepted this, but some members said they wanted an open contest. And as you would expect, many claimed they were not happy with the list after all. Anyways, whatever the case and whoever is aggrieved or not, the convention marked the end of the caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee inaugurated in June 2020 and led by Governor of Yobe State, Mai Mala Buni. So tonight we ask, are the APC party members happy with the convention? How will the convention affect the primary election and of course the general election itself? And what is next for the new National Working Committee of the party? With me to discuss these issues are Ms. Zainab Buba Galadima. Zainab is a poet, a politician, and an entrepreneur. Of course, she's also the daughter of APC founder, Engineer Buba Galadima. Also with me is Mr. Hamza Idris, one-time political editor and now general editor of Daily Trust. Welcome to Daily Politics, gentlemen.
Welcome.
Lady and gentlemen. Yeah. So we'll take a minute break. When we return, we'll jump right into it and bring you all the analysis, all the insights, and of course, all the entertainment. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and we are discussing the aftermath of the APC National Convention, and particularly the matters arising therefrom. And with me, Ms. Zainab Buba Galadima and Malam Hamza Idris. So once again, Zainab, let me start with you. Your family have been part of the foundation of this party, and you were at the convention yourself as a member of the APC on Saturday. What's your impression of the convention? How did it go? Did it go according to the wishes of the majority of the party members?
I would say not really, because when I got into the convention ground, I felt a bit of a vibe, and so many people were not happy. But because party is supreme, they behaved themselves, they conducted themselves in a very, civilized manner. Obviously there were a bit of rantings outside and stuff like that. But generally people were, calm and, because obviously party is supreme and the leadership has already taken its decision, but I would have loved for it to be open to all, so that people can feel included, and feel a sense of, and have a sense of recognition at some point. So that was the vibe I got. So
when you said the people were not happy, what were the reasons they were not happy for?
A lot of people bought forms. A lot of people aspired. We had a lot of people that were capable, that were credible, and we felt that they could bring something, to the table, and also, actually make a difference, and actually maybe, bring something to the party maybe that, wasn't there before. But, a lot of, hopes were dashed because, a list was out, and so they had to abide by it. But at least, regardless, I think their monies were returned to them, and which is a bit of a, gave them a bit of succor to be able to handle it well. So that.
But when people, Malamza, when people pay money, to obtain a nomination form, obviously it's not the money that matters to them at that point. It's the position that they are contesting. They want to see themselves going for the post, compare themselves to others within the same party that have also collected the same forms. So how would it feel, this idea of consensus? Is it degrading democracy to some extent?
Yes, to greater extent. As Ajia Zainab said, before the convention, there was serious optimism among party faithful that they will test the waters. They all have their plans. But to my understanding as a political reporter, what the party did was to solve a big problem, but temporarily. Yes, in the sense that if they had allowed maybe election to hold for all the party offices, they will solve a big problem permanently. Yes, but doing the consensus, of course, you remember when the president signed the Electoral Act, it was with a caveat, which the National Assembly amended again, which he finally signed with another request, which is not our issue of discussion today. But the first one, he said it should be an open contest, so that members of political parties will now decide the mode to adopt in selecting their leaders, which could be direct primary, indirect, or consensus. And this does not mean just for elective positions. I mean, in electoral process, maybe general elections or by-elections, even in party activities like what we witnessed on Saturday. So overall, they really solve a major problem temporarily. This is my impression about.
So if you say temporarily, what do you mean?
Yes, because there are many of the aspirants, they respected the party supremacy and swallowed their pride. They signed the documents because it was part of the provision that if you agree to go for consensus, that you should sign a document. Many of them, they sign, but they are still embittered, meaning they will go back to trenches. We don't know what will happen between now and the next 2 months, because they have up to end of July, right? To now complete, June, right? To now do their primary. So you are going to see a lot of problems. Obviously, I'm not a soothsayer, but I know they are going to face serious challenges at the state level and at the national level, because some believe that they are so powerful and popular in their local government or in their state or in their region, meaning that is geopolitical zone, and they will wreak havoc maybe when it comes to electing other offices, that is for the 2023 general election. So it's like, is it cutting the tail of a snake while the head is still there? Yes. This is my observation as far as what happened on Saturday.
Is concerned. Thank you. Haja Zainab, another thing that people were thinking around was the consensus is now becoming more like an imposition. Yes. Because when the president says he wants this man or this woman or that woman, it's difficult for any other member in the party, or a governor or something, to say they are going against that, even though the person may be popular or may not be popular. So is there a feeling within the party that various candidates have been imposed on them rather than candidates that they have elected themselves?
Absolutely, I feel so. And one thing, and a lot of people have been in this party for a very long time, since its inception. And a lot of people have contributed, they've sacrificed and stuff like that. And some of this people on the list that were brought in are new members of the party. They were not there when all the, structure was being formed, when the party was being solidified as an entity per se. So a lot of people feel aggrieved that after all my sacrifice since 2014, now somebody that just joined the party 6 months ago is now, my leader, which is very hard to swallow for some people. But if, for example, that person, that leader that's been, selected to be there because it wasn't an election, in the real sense. If maybe he has an open heart, and is accommodating and will include people, I think people will feel a bit of, a bit relaxed. But like he said, in the next few weeks, we will see a lot of, the direction changing. A lot of people will leave the party. Some might come in. That happens usually during election years, but election time is seasonal. And a lot of people are going to, because we already had problems during the congresses.
Yes.
We had parallel, chairman, and stuff like that. So we still haven't solved those problems. They are still lingering. And like he said, it is a temporary problem. We do not know what it might lead to. I was actually really, really surprised at the conduct of people. They actually were calm, because I was expecting violence and stuff like that. I really was. So I put my mind.
There were some people who were actually shouting that they had been in this party for a long time.
Yes, a lot of people
the
spoke.
videos of that went viral, isn't it?
Yes,
okay.
and it's well within their rights. This is democracy, and the beauty of it is, it's about election and stuff like that. I believe more in direct primaries, where a member can feel that sense of whatever it is that makes him a party person. But for now, you really do not have a say, because the future is in the hands of, you don't even know what interest they have, because politics is about interest, and I feel like we're yet to see some things unfolding which might affect our chances on some seats and positions where we have. So
interesting.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. Malam Zab, Haja Zainab raised an important issue.
Yes.
Namely that some people felt that some members just came only a few months ago or only a few years ago, but those of us that have been in this party since 2014 and are building it. The newspapers have taken this angle, at least some of these newspapers have taken this angle in analyzing the convention. Where some newspapers are saying that it is ex-PDP members who are in fact dominate the current National Working Committee of the APC. What does that say about the APC as a new party?
There was an error in that narration.
Okay.
Yes. Many of them, like the national chairman, he was a founding member of sort, maybe second category of founding members.
But he won his senatorial election, his governorship election, even this current election, up to 2011.
If you were to take it that way, in fact, there is no difference between PDP and APC. But when you go back to maybe ahead of 2015, that was when we witnessed serious realignments. And when you look at the narration out there, it is that all the key people who won, maybe chairman, deputy national chairman, then vice chairman of the party, that all of them were originally PDP. It's not true. Abdullah Adamu joined APC around 2014. Senator Abu Kyari, who is the Deputy National Chairman, he was never a member of any other party, apart from APP, ANPP, and then APC. Now the other fellow Deputy National Chairman, South, he started from AC, then AC, and then he temporarily joined PDP, then he went back to APC. Many of them. But the point I'm trying to make...
So they're APC men?
Yes.
Rather than former
exactly.
PDP men? Okay.
But the point I'm trying to make is that the party leadership at the highest level actually dozed off for a very long time. And that was why we witnessed this disaffection among members ahead of the convention. Because if you look at it since 2015, they have been using consensus, but they do plan ahead of time. They plan quite ahead of time. If you look at how Oyegun emerged, if you look at how Adams Oshomole emerged, if you also look at even Buni, even though as a caretaker, it was all through consensus of sort. There was no real election whereby you have contenders A, B, C to slug it out, and then you count the vote and say, okay, contender A or B won. But what they used to do before was to work far ahead of time, even if they had emergencies, such as the unceremonious exit of Adams Oshomole.
Yes.
They took time. But this time around, it's like the national leader of the party, the real national leader, that is President Muhammadu Buhari, he didn't show much interest in what was happening until when the party naturally collapsed. Because if you look at it, almost every other person was on his own. So it was at the tail end that he now intervened. When he was in London, he went there to rest, but virtually I think he came
didn't
back
have
with
any rest.
He didn't
Yes.
rest. Yeah, so because they kept visiting him, and then there was serious politicking, backbiting, and all that. And then at the end of it, even on the day of the election, on the eve of the election, I mean, it was not certain that the forces will coalesce into a force to now come up with Abdullah Adamu and then the unity. And it is not members of the original list approved by the president that emerged. Because apart from Abdullah Adamu, who are those who were actually favored by President Muhammadu Buhari among the maybe major seats like the Deputy National Chairman North? The president wanted Farouk Adamu Aliyu,
Yes.
but he didn't get it. The National Secretary, the Deputy National Chairman, all of these, they were products of other forces, especially the governors.
Exactly.
Yeah. But for the fact that the president got the national chairman, he also swallowed his pride because we reported it ahead of the election that there will be serious problem. And there was, because the convention was supposed to start around 2:30 Hajia, or thereabout, but it was late in the evening that they converged on this thing, because even then they were reluctant. There was serious pullback. Some people were not satisfied. They wanted to actually dare the president. Let me use this word if it is appropriate, in order to have their way. And what does this tell us? It is that there is the need for leaders to be firm and then to plan far ahead of time. Because if they had allowed the open contest, I think they will have come out with bruises, even though everyone will now realize where he belongs. And then maybe there will be explosion in the party immediately from the convention ground or whatever. But as I said earlier, it was a temporary solution to a serious problem, which they have to do a lot of mending fences now, and then doing so much so that they will go into the primaries maybe with the party at heart, because they will either make it or marry the political party.
Thank you. But before we get to the primaries, because this is the whole point of the convention, is to get primaries done and then go into the general election, isn't it, Haja Zainab? Now, one of the issues that emerged is what Malhamza touched on earlier, the role played by governors in this convention and in the party more broadly. But for the governors are leaders of the party in their states, but there are others within the states who also have interest and a stake in the party beyond the governors. And sometimes some of these may not necessarily be in agreement with the governors. There are party leaders within states that may not necessarily be in agreement with the governors. Was that part of how did that play out in the convention? How did that influence the decisions and the outcomes that we had in the election? I mean, at the end.
I think naturally the governors have so much power.
Okay.
When you're trying to contest for a party, party role, or even House of Reps or House of Assembly, you have to have somebody strong behind you. So that means there isn't that, thing, that democracy thing is really not there. And if, let's say, a state where there is no governor, so they look for the highest ranking, so they do share these positions. So the circle is really small. And you don't really get to penetrate that circle if you're not part of that circle. So you don't get selected for that position, And even within that circle, let's say there are 2 or 3 people within that wants to contest for one particular position. Maybe they see which one, obviously there has to be a favorite, So basically everywhere people are aggrieved because they do not feel that sense of, belonging. There's not much consultation. We don't really communicate that much within the Nigerian politics. We don't really communicate that much, and it's really, really bad because it brews, a lot of resentments and stuff like that. So and if you remember the collapse of PDP, at some point, they still haven't recovered. I feel they still haven't recovered from that. We might be facing something worse, because you cannot keep suppressing people. You can't keep suppressing people, and that's really bad.
Are you saying that the APC is doing the same thing that the PDP used to do?
Absolutely, I believe so.
Okay.
Because the governors have so much power. If they do not want you, you don't get to be there. Unless you are extremely popular and you can cause so much, whatever, I don't know, for not disruption in form of violence, but politically, maybe if they know that you are important, very, very much important, that you're loved by the people, maybe they might consider you. But it's really getting me depressed when I look at the way the things are being run, within the party. I ran for office in Abuja. I was a councillor here, but I don't get to be part of any decision making, and I'm a stakeholder. I was one of the pioneer members. I was the leader in AMAC when APC was formed. So naturally, you should expect that you're being, considered, recognized to be part of some, contributions per se. But really, we don't get that, because number one, we're not even happy with the chairman as well. So and it's like that everywhere. So and it's really, really sad, and a lot of people have been shortchanged, especially women. I was going to contest for one of the positions, but when I heard the price, and I don't have any godfather in this party, so I just decided.
Your father is a godfather.
No, he is on his own. Okay. Do you understand? And some people might castigate me because of him, because of his position, the position he's taken. So I tread carefully. When I'm, doing things within the party, I tend to be a bit docile. Not because I really do not want to contribute, but sometimes when you look at the writings on the wall, you tell yourself the truth. And women, the forms were really, really expensive. 5 million for, for women, it's not that easy to come by. And for men, you get some people sponsoring them and stuff like that. But women, we're few anyway within the political party, and we have very little support. Very few men are, practice the he for she. So and I felt like I don't really need this, because there is no healthy competition.
Okay.
Yes. So.
No healthy competition. That's part of what many people have criticized the party, especially the newspapers today. You know, particularly with regards to the position of the national chairman. You know, because since that endorsement, since your newspaper, which you edited, you know, and still edit, you know, said that Senator Abdoulaye Adamu is being endorsed for that position, it has caused quite a storm of reactions from other people who are interested in the same position and those who are supporting them, as you know. So what were the reasons, you know, what is the rationale, what is the basis for singling out one person out of a number of contenders, many of whom had actually started, you know, in earnest, much earlier than Senator Abdoulaye Adamu.
That is high wire politics.
Okay.
Yes, you see, before I answered your question, on that day, apart from governors, first president, the role he played, because this is his last lap, is the last time he can play a serious role as far as the party affairs is concerned. Because by the time you have your people, people whom you can trust, people whom you will hand over, after your tenure you will go and sleep. I don't think if he will superintend any other convention again, good. So he played his role in order to have the right people there. Now governors also played their role, but we know as reporters.
Are you saying the other contenders are not right people?
No, they are.
Okay.
But what I'm saying, you always have the best among equals, and I will explain. Yes, but apart from the president and the governors, presidential aspirants also played key role in the selection process. It's not good for me to name names here, but those that matter understand what I supposed to say, which I will not.
But our audiences would like to hear names, but go on.
Yes, so
yes.
Presidential aspirants, those that declare and those that are you know, nursing the ambition nocturnally, doing consultation and all that, they play key role in the emergence of some of these officers of the ruling party, because they had like 77 or thereabout offices filled. Every office is important. Every office that
and
you
all
see
by
there.
consensus.
Exactly. I think only few, about 4 or 5, that they had to cast vote, but all the rest were by consensus. And some of the contenders were not really happy, and that was why they will continue to have problem. Now back to your question, you see, a ruling party will always have multiple problems to contend with, and if you don't have the requisite leader with all the credentials to now call people to order, you are bound to collapse. Yes, I know that all the contenders, they are good, they are all right, they have the necessary qualification, political experience, exposure, and fellowship. But saying the truth, many of them will trail behind Abdoulaye Adamu. And when we did that, our story, it's not just out of the blues. We contacted so many people, and then we gauged the pulse before we came up with the story that the president is actually looking towards the direction of Senator Abdoulaye Adamu. And why? He's the oldest of all of them, in terms of age. And then when you come to political experience, I'm sure he started long before many of them, because you trace his political history to the days of NPN, 1979, when he was secretary of the party in the then Benue Plateau State. Then he moved on to become the chairman of NPN.
Some people will say he's also only a farmer.
But they are just saying it because you look for the weak link.
Okay.
Exactly. But in terms of political credentials, honestly, he saw it all, right from the Second Republic. And then he attended many conferences. He became governor for 2 times. 2 times, 8 years. And then in 2007, when he went to the National Assembly, he has been there up till this moment. Maybe he will live today or tomorrow. I don't know. So the president, look at this. And you know, As Ajia Zainab said, governors are extremely powerful. But I don't think if Abdullah Adamu would not look into the eye of any of the 22 APC governors and ask him to sit down.
Interesting.
Yes.
So is that part of the idea that, okay, they needed somebody who can match what the PDP had already offered Nigerians in the person of Dr. Iyochia Ayu? Is it part of the calculations, Haja?
Maybe so. Obviously I'm not privy to so many informations and stuff like that. Maybe, yes, it's true. I heard that about him. I don't really know him as a person. I've never met him, so maybe from afar, but I do know that what he said is true. You know, he's very firm and, you know, whatever, but
Are you happy with this choice?
Not really.
Okay. So if you, why not?
Really. I felt like he needed to rest.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Please
but
feel
if
free
he's
to
going to,
express it.
if he is going to do a good job, okay, you know, it doesn't really, as long as he's going to be fair, you know, there'll be fairness and justice. You know, that's the ultimate. But really, the other candidates are also good. Sometimes, you know, you need, you know, a fresher blood, not really a young person per se, because I've seen young politicians and I know what they're capable of. Some of them are, you know, worse. It's not about age really, but sometimes when you look at the, you know, complete, you know, I don't really know how to put it. I don't want to contradict myself by saying probably he's too old or something, and then getting a fresher blood. Not, you know, in the mid, you know, somebody that, yeah, but in terms of firmness, I believe he's firm.
When we return, I will ask you
But
who you were going to vote for if it had gone into an election.
Yeah.
But we'll be taking a short break. Thank you for staying with us, viewers. We'll be taking a short break. When we return, we'll continue where we left off and discuss issues around matters that have arisen from APC National Congress last Saturday. Stay with us.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. If you're just joining us, you can follow us on all our social media platforms, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and of course on Instagram. We're discussing issues around the National Convention of the APC, which held last Saturday. Haja Zainab, let me continue again with you, you know, ladies first on this program especially. So now one of the concerns people had is that the president is a retiring president. You know, he's not going into another election himself, at least not a presidential election. Maybe he can go to the Senate or House of Reps or councillor or something like that, you know, which is fine. Some presidents have done it before, but not the presidency again. So some people are saying that if a president is retiring, maybe that's all the more reason why he shouldn't even endorse any particular candidate. You know, you leave the field open for all the contenders to test themselves. So do you share that opinion?
Partly.
Okay.
Because I believe the president is supposed to stand as a guide, you know, for all of us. And also, as much as he's a guide, he also has a legacy that he needs to leave, and it should be a good one, you know, so that at least it can sustain whatever good things that he has, you know, started, you know, for continuity's sake. But still, I stand for election, you know, so that a lot of people vote for people because of the right reasons. For example, you know, we always say, get your PVC, get your PVC. We can't solve the problem with a PVC first. Our initial problem is here, where the party leadership is being selected. That is where you select credible leaders that will lead you, you know, in 4 years that is where you make the hardest decision, you know, for the next generations to come. You know, that is where you make the decision for your country, you know, for a better, you know, Nigeria in this case. And if we keep imposing people, you know, some they do not even have the capacity to carry out that role, you know, and then they have interest because they were brought in by somebody, so they will play other people's bid. In that case, we're left with, they pick, so at the PVC level, we just pick the lesser evil, probably, but most times, lesser evils don't even get to, you know, achieve that. They don't even get to be that. We pick the ones that are powerful. And it is very, very disheartening because Nigeria is at a point whereby we need good governance. We need leadership that will stand the test of time because we have a lot of issues. We're way behind when you look at other countries across the world. So it is very, very important. And I always tell young people, they see they're not interested in politics. If majority of us can come in, you know, all these things won't be happening. These governors will not be as powerful because how many are they? 36? You know, against maybe 20, 30 million. You know, they can't handle it. So there has to be accountability and transparency in whatever decision, you know, we carry out. So it's very, very important. And I believe that the president is looking at his legacy as well as a guide, thinking, I don't know what reasons why he picked
Senator Abdullah Adamu.
Yes, Senator Abdullah Adamu. I do not know. And maybe he saw something in him that he didn't see in others. That was why he endorsed them. Whatever it is, I pray it will work. But we are in desperate need of good leadership, you know, in this country, not even within APC. Okay. APC, we really, really do need that because so many things are derailing. And the earlier we tell ourselves the truth, I do not like to be a sycophant. I do not like to tell them what they want to hear. I say my mind because that's how I feel, and I'm not completely happy, you know. Even if he will win, I would have preferred that, you know, it's been tested.
That's entirely the question I was going to ask Malam. You spoke glowingly of him, that he's first among equals. He's had all the experience, been party chair, you know, for Plateau State when it was Plateau and Nasarawa states, you know, and all that. If that is the case, why couldn't he have gone into an election and win it? You know, why wouldn't other people see that in him? Why not go straight to an election? Wouldn't that be more legitimate?
Well, I think it's to manage the larger picture of the crisis at hand. This is my thinking, because they had enough in their hands. And that was partly why the caretaker committee, which was meant to be there for 6 months, you know, was there for nearly 20 months, right? Because at every point in time, when they solve problem A, B, you see D, E, F problems coming up. And then while trying to solve them, maybe if they solve one of the 3 emerging problems, you see more problems coming. Basically, to me, that was why they now said it's better we micro-manage the problem. And the only way to do that is not to go into open contest. And as I said, all of them, because I had cause to meet most of the aspirants, and at the end of the day, they were not even happy with our reportage. Okay. Yes, but you know, we want the paper and the media house to outlive all of us. And what we do is to actually, you know, crack the hard nut and then get stories so that we keep the conversation going. So when we reported that the president actually was favorably disposed to Abdullah, it's not that we created the story. It was because that was what was cooking at the time. Yes, at that time. So I think why they selected him for so many reasons beyond the age and maybe experience. Probably he understands most of the problems afflicting the party. You know, the caretaker chairman, Buni, appointed him as the chairman of the reconciliation committee. Whether he achieved a reconciling party members, I think it's left for Nigerians to judge. Yeah, but partly I think that was why the president became favorably disposed to him. But beyond that, probably he understands the dynamics, because if you look at most of the interviews granted by Abdullah Adamu tilted towards ignoring this issue of zoning. That's okay, maybe it should be the turn of the South, then later turn of the North. If you see in most of his interviews, he said, let's get the best candidate. And I know, I keep saying as a reporter, and that is what I am, many people around the president, honestly, they want an open contest for the presidency, not zoning the ticket to the South. Yes, maybe they want an open contest whereby candidates or aspirants, let me put it appropriately, from across the divide will come and slug it.
I think that's the next phase we'll be taking now, because the convention will lead to the primaries and the primaries to the general election, But just a minute before we come to that, if you are going to vote, if there had been an open contest, who would you have voted for? And now that person, obviously you said it was not Abdullah Adamu. So now that Abdullah Adamu is, what would he do to satisfy you and other members of the party who may not have been happy with him at this moment, but still loyal to the party?
Well, out of the, is it 6 or 7 of them?
Yeah.
Who would I have
voted?
Well, I was looking at 2 people, but I'm not a delegate anyway,
Okay.
so my vote really wouldn't
Would not have
matter.
been- yeah,
but I
that's
was looking at maybe former Governor Al-Makura and
Okay.
Mustafa Saliu Turaki.
Okay.
Those are the 2, because I know them.
Okay.
Sometimes you start from where you know and what they're capable of. That is where you build your, support from. That aside, the only thing I feel the new chairman can do is to be free, fair, and be just.
Okay.
That is the most important thing. And he should accept everybody. That is the most important job for him right now. And the party's interest and the nation's interest should come first before his interest. For now, God has already given him everything. He doesn't need to have any interest. The best interest as an old man, because obviously he will also be retiring soon, is to leave a good legacy. And as we are seeing, we are short of good governance and leadership, just like how I said. It is important for him to also set that, because we have a lot of problems in APC during primaries. There's a same thing might play out, and I pray it doesn't. And I pray he comes with a new, if he does that, if he shows all this, characters or or traits, he would have solved a lot of problems. Because the problem now we're facing in APC is because so many of us don't feel, there's fairness, there's no social justice within the system, maybe a son of a nobody or somebody that does not have anybody can get anything, and also they should also consider women. A lot of women are way behind. There are a lot of bright women in this party, but they're not given a chance. A woman contested for Northwest Deputy Chairman, Haji Azwera.
Yeah.
And when I saw her, she was like, I'm waiting for them. And it's really, really depressing to see.
Like she has no say.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's like they were coerced into, all these things. And I just want him to give people hope in this party, to show that, okay, as me, he doesn't know me, I can walk into his office, Chairman, I have this problem, can you help me solve it? And then he will, if he doesn't do that, then I can't really, I don't really feel right about it. A lot of people will leave. A lot of people feel like jumping from one party to another is the best thing. I believe in staying and working, for it. Unless you send me away, obviously, I will, But I believe that if people like us and a lot of people who have contributed immensely to this party, to the success of, General Buhari, President Buhari now, and all these things, if they want people of value and of, they should continue, they should start on this pace, because let's forget about what happened in the past. Let's, start a new, let's have a new direction.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
Thank you. So that's a powerful talk, frankly, for someone taking up leadership at a time that there is a lot of crisis within the party, at a time that you have only a short window between now and the primaries, you know, and that, you know, that will generate its own issues as well. So I think, I hope that this gets to the Senator Abdullah Ademo and that he pays attention to that. But beyond that, the consensus as a method of selecting leaders or of electing leaders within the party, but also for general elections, you know, across parties, is becoming a sort of the standard for electing leaders in the country. The APC, they did their convention via consensus. Now they are talking about looking for consensus for presidential candidates as well. And also you're likely to hear about consensuses, you know, at the local levels, at state levels, you know, senatorial and so on. And now the APC have elected their leadership also by consensus. Is the primary within the APC going to be by consensus, even though you are not a primary, you are not
Yes, I am not a politician.
Yes.
I'm not a member of any of the political parties. Earlier, I think I made a mistake.
Yes.
I said when he was chairman of NPN, right? I said Benue Plateau. I think it was all Plateau.
Okay.
Comprising Nasarawa and Plateau
States.
State. Exactly.
That's all right.
Yes. The issue of a consensus is like the political space is being narrowed and is being cheapened.
Absolutely.
Yes, because if you don't allow competition, you rarely bring out the best, because you are narrowing the political space, which is not healthy. And that is why democracy is different from other options, oligarchy or whatever you call it. But you can see the two major political parties are at a crossroad. The pattern which the PDP used to produce Professor Ayu or Dr. Ayu, as they call him, is almost the same,
Yes.
which the APC used. And they are closely looking at each other because the space is not wide. Now, assuming you have other options, serious political parties that will now, you know, do elections from the grassroots, that is from the wards to local government, to the state, and then to zonal, and then to the national level. You will checkmate these two. But for now, the two political parties are not even talking about democracy or the process of producing leaders, but how to undermine one another. And that is why I said, because we interviewed some people who said for APC to get it right, they have to get a person who will match the credentials of the PDP national chairman. And I think if you put the two on the same scale, you know, they will, you know, all of them, they are really strong. And this is what we are going to see for the primaries, for them to produce their standard bearer. So if PDP, if they are to do their own, I can assure you, if they produce their presidential candidate by consensus and they pick him from the north, for instance, APC will do the same.
They will win?
They will win, they will do the same.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, whatever one party does,
exactly,
the other party will likely do the same.
If PD, but the other irony is that if APC, for instance, they do their own first, and then they pick their presidential candidate from the south, I can assure you PDP will pick their own from the north.
Okay.
Because they are looking at the electoral votes, you know.
But the northern candidate has lost an election against a southern candidate in Nigeria before. Tofa lost against Abiola, even in Kano.
It was entirely different. They are poles apart.
Buhari lost against Obasanjo. He lost against Goodluck Jonathan. You know, so even in northern Nigeria, even in 2011, Buhari lost against Goodluck Jonathan in Katsina State, his own home state.
The direction was different.
Okay.
And circumstances completely different. If you go to the SDP time when Abiola, there was no issue of religion or tribe, because Who did he pick? He picked Babagana Kingibe, Muslim ticket, and it was the cleanest, according to observers, the cleanest election ever in Nigeria. In 1999, it was to assuage the Southwest because of the June 12 agitation and all that. And then in 2011, I think there was incumbency and all that. And then Buhari did not reach out. Buhari was just proud of his 12 million votes. And 12 million votes will not give you. He had to be convinced to now go across the Niger. That was when he went for partnership with the Southwest. But even then, you can see he didn't win the South-South. He didn't win the Southeast. It was the votes from the Southwest and then the collective notes from the North that gave him. Now, the issues are also changing now because the 2023 election will redefine the political terrain because there are some of the aspirants, if they didn't get it, they will just go back to their region and then they will go and control, meaning we will go back to post-1999. That is what happened in 1999, 2003.
Okay.
Good. Where you have some regional forces controlling, like what Tinubu did, you know, in 2023.
Like what Konkoso is trying to do.
Exactly, and like what Konkoso is trying to do now. So the whole political environment is going to change sharply in 2023, depending on the candidates that the two dominant parties will present.
Thank you very much, Mala Hamza, Idris, the General Editor, Daily Trust, for coming on the show. Thank you also, Haja Zainab Buba Galadima, for coming on the show. But before we go, let me give you the last say, but only in the form of yes or no. Would you accept a consensus primary candidate, you know, presidential candidate for APC? Yes or no? Only.
No.
No?
No.
No, I'm not sure whether the audience is hearing you.
No.
Okay, thank you. This is where we.
Why not ask me?
That's all right. She's a member of the party.
Okay.
Yeah. This is where we draw the curtain for today's show. Thank you for staying with us, and we hope to have you tomorrow again when we bring you another edition of Daily Politics on Trust TV. My name is Suleiman Suleiman. Goodbye.